How can we amplify our love to others? All right, that's today's question, and hope you're having a good one so far. My name is Thomas, and I operate this channel. Welcome. We do educational videos here on many different subjects, but for the first kind of unit, we're going to be rolling out probably 144 plus videos on the Tree of Life. The reason we focus on the Tree of Life is because it's a miraculous tool to organize and prioritize your life, and it also can be used to really assimilate great amounts of material. And in the rest of this channel, we're going to be learning great amounts of material. So when we learn the tree, we'll have a place to put it. So that's kind of the idea here. The Tree of Life is an ancient model. It goes back, way back to ancient Egypt at least. The ancient Hebrews used it as well. Modern Hebrews, Hasidics, and other Orthodox Jews use it. The occult, many occultists use it nowadays. And they use it in general for evil purposes. But it's not evil in and of itself. It can be used for good, and it can also be used to defend yourself from evil. So that's another reason we learn it here. You can see that the tree has 10 different circles, and then it also has a bunch of lines connecting those circles, 22. And it's more or less like a map of our faculties of consciousness, or a map of our consciousness, and each one of the circles is a manifestation of our of a faculty of consciousness. Okay, so we have 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then there is an abyss right here, which is an implied circular sphere, and then we have a 0 above the tree. That's a total of 12 different categories, or 12 different faculties of consciousness. And we can enumerate them, start at the 10th sphere, which is basically our survival, or our instinct, our faculty of instinct, keeping us alive. Our life force keeps us alive regardless, even before we can act consciously. Our survival is already taken over to act, to keep us alive. So this is, kill or be killed, the state of nature, fight or flight response, and then again, the lowest aspect of the life force. Consciously, one thing we can do is we can destroy our life force by participating in lusts of the body and addictions and defilements of the body, mutilations of the body, such things. Those will destroy our life force, especially over time. And so that is like a negative 10th sphere. Okay, then we have the 9th sphere, which is like our if this is our wild animal, this is more like our domesticated animal. This is what we get in the home growing up in the first years of our life. When we are super, everything is new and different to us, we're soaking up everything like a sponge. This heightened receptivity is, and heightened state of learning is really the characteristic of the 9th sphere. We're able to learn at a rate unequaled in the other spheres. We're heightened receptivity. We watch our environment, especially the people in our environment, and we basically imitate them. And then we practice or repeat that imitation. We practice it over and over again until we get it right. And then when we get it right, it goes, into our old hat memory, our rote memory. So this is about learning, memory, and also heightened receptivity, imitation. And then we also, the 9th sphere is also blind, meaning that it doesn't discern between a good behavior and a bad behavior that it's imitating. It'll imitate anything, you know. So that is kind of the limitation on the ninth sphere and why it can be abused and taken advantage of. Okay, then the eighth sphere is similarly blind, or at least myopic, and the eighth sphere, where the ninth sphere is the domestic space, the eighth sphere is the public space. So this is what you get like when you go out into public, you know, as a youngster going to church, school or church, and you know, it carries on to adulthood also. All the institutions, you know, the hospitals and the medical offices and the media, the legislatures, all of these are elements of the establishment and the institutions, the powers that be. This is really where all the resources that we need are located, and so we have to negotiate with the eighth sphere. They tell us, it's the consensus worldview. They tell us what we're supposed to believe and how we're supposed to behave. They tell us kind of, you know, their versions of right and wrong. Unfortunately, their versions are not always the truth. This is where the trickster is located, and so the trickster is a deceiver, a distractor, and a Decepticon or whatever. So they tell us what we're supposed to believe, and we have to negotiate with that kind of, because we have to get into the eighth sphere at least to a certain degree, just really to survive, you know, to have resources, at least at this point in time. We can work our way out of that eventually, but at this point in time, when we've just developed these two, this is the third one, you know. So they present this third one as being like the be-all, end-all. This is the goal for your life, is to get into the eighth sphere. Many people in the ninth sphere will spend their whole life saving up money so that their kids can go to college and get into the eighth sphere. So they're not even getting into the eighth sphere themselves, but they're sending their kids to the eighth sphere, and they, you know, because they see that as being the end, the result, and the success of life. And that's how it's portrayed. This is a false consensus. It's portrayed as being like everything, where it is actually just one part of a much larger whole. And then also with the eighth sphere, we participate in this negotiation where what they tell us is not necessarily in harmony with what we've already experienced in our life. And so we are kind of forced to either just give this lip service and just pretend like we agree with it, which is kind of also working in their favor, because we are then kind of giving we're adding to the consensus. But worse is that we actually end up kind of inverting our eighth sphere. You know, where our eighth sphere is about belief systems and our logical reasoning, we have to invert our logic in order, or contort our logic to be able to fit in here, because they're telling us something that we don't see it as being true in our own experience. And so we have to kind of reject our own experience to be able to accept what's in here. Now, if we just give it lip service and just take it in stride, or, you know, just kind of accept the parts of it that we can agree with, because there are some parts, you know, that we can agree with, we just get in there and go, you know, get our resources and go to the next one. But if we end up kind of contorting our logic and everything, we'll end up getting stuck in here, maybe for our whole life. And or we'll be playing this kind of relay game where we're really here, but we get here every once in a while. So if we can move on to the seventh sphere, if the eighth sphere is about logic and reason, belief systems, it's about the real world, then the seventh sphere is about the imaginary world. This is what we get when we go into our imagination, and we look at all the problems that we saw here, and we imagine something better. And then we strive to kind of create that. We use our creative faculties, our ability to make new things, and our pleasure principle, our ability to make pleasing things for other people, and then also our inspiration. We may have seen other people, do things that inspire us because they've kind of gone over here or they've gotten out of here. It's a very common experiment when they have these conformity experiments. Everybody is participating in the atrocity until one person calls it out and says, I'm not doing this anymore, or the emperor has no clothes. That will inspire other people to do the same thing. So you could be inspired by that. Also, intuition, really asking ourselves deep inside, what can I do to improve on this? And if you go inside, you will get answers that are correct. But you have to be able to translate them correctly, which you may not be able to do, in which case, so you need to be able to verify those answers. And then to culminate the seventh sphere, you have your sense of a higher calling or a sense of mission. And this is in contrast with the eighth sphere, which just wants you to be a cog in the machine. They want you to be a professor. They want you to be a doctor. They want you to be a construction worker. They want you to be a nurse. They fit you into these large categories. But here you're wanting to be the very best version of yourself as an individual, and how you can contribute to this universe. So it's a much more individualized perspective on who you're going to be. And this propels you up the tree. Once you conform your higher calling, you evaluate your strengths and weaknesses, your affinities, and your position in the world, and then you formulate and articulate a mission, and then that starts moving you up toward the sixth sphere, which is really where our center is. You can see the six is at the center of the tree. I would refer to it as our outer core, and this is our free will faculty. Free will being our ability to pay attention and our ability to make decisions. So we generally find ourselves paying attention to the eighth and ninth sphere, and even the 10th sphere, and even sometimes the seventh, but normally eighth and ninth sphere, and that's what we're paying attention to because that's our comfort zone. That's what we're accustomed to, and but we can make the decision, the second half of free will, making decisions. We can make the decision to turn our attention around and focus our attention on the higher aspects. This takes courage. We have to stand in the face of fear because now we're facing the unknown. But this is the crucial step that we have to take. Then if we can focus our attention on the next higher sphere, the fifth sphere, we can really jumpstart ourselves. Because the fifth sphere is really our sense of justice, our sense of what's right and wrong, our sense of fairness. And we can envision there being like a mirror right here. This is karma, the law of cause and effect. As you sow, so shall you reap. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. What comes around goes around. So it's like a mirror, it's a reflection. What we get back is a reflection of what we put in. And karma generally grades us based on violence, waste, and violation. And so if we violate somebody, that reflects back to us. Now, if we are being a victim about it, we'll say, oh, my luck is so bad. All these bad things are always happening to me. But if we are paying attention, we notice that what we put in is what we get out. And so if we're getting a bad reaction, it's because we had a bad action. And if we can learn to clean up our actions thereby. And also then we can apply our attention to the fourth sphere, where the fifth sphere is really about the enforcement of the law, enforcement of the natural law or the universal law or universal order of things. The fourth sphere is about the articulation of that law. So this comes in play in the ancient holy books from around the world, theories of everything that are more modern from around the world, and then, cosmology. And so these are media, books, and other things that attempt to describe how everything fits together in the big picture. And, not only the laws of morality, but the laws of science. And there are many, many of these around, and some of them are better than others. And, some of them you've already learned, and some of them you are unfamiliar with. Probably the best bet is to use the synthesis or syncretic approach, which is a hallmark of the fourth sphere, where the fifth sphere is about analysis and cutting things up. The fourth sphere is about putting them together. This is the whole pillar is about putting things together. This is about separating them. And so the fourth sphere is about synthesizing. So you take as many of these different cosmologies as you can get your hands on, as you can study, and then you try to put them all together to make them comprehensible to you. And you do this again through your intuition. You go deep inside and you ask, but you can't do the asking before you've done the homework. The homework has to come first. You have to thorough studies, and then you synchronize, and then you syncretize them. Okay, this also is, just the universals in general, universal law, universal love, which we'll talk about today, and universal language. So these are also fit in with that cosmology, and they fit in with, law in general, the articulation of the law. Okay, then we can also apply our attention to the abyss, which is our psychic powers. And the psychic powers, it has to do with magnetic forces. And the psychic powers have to do with omens. So when an omen happens, an omen is something that is anomalous or an outlier, something that, isn't probable by the laws of statistics. It's highly improbable. A coincidence, an uncanniness, a deja vu, a recurring theme or a recurring number, where it gets to the point, something triggers in our mind when it gets far enough out from the norm. And it's like, wow, that was weird. Wow, that's so weird. When you have that kind of a reaction, that means that it is an omen that's important for you to understand. And that is your psychic receptivity, your ability to recognize the omen. The second part of psychic powers is the psychic heat, which is your ability to act upon that recognition of the omen. And that comes right in the omen. The omen itself has a course of action prescribed in it, and you have to be able to kind of jump on that action. And again, that requires courage. So, because you're putting yourself out there and you're leaping into the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen when you jump at that opportunity. Okay, then we're moving to 3, 2, and 1, which are at the top of the tree. These are our divine faculties within. And this 3 is omnipotence, 2 is omniscience, and 1 is omnipresence. All-powerful, okay, this all-powerful we tap into through sound, synchronized sound. The letters of the alphabet are the units of power, and they are, within mantra. So when we chant mantras repeatedly over and over again, we build up a rhythm, a standing wave, and that is where we can unlock the power. And the power is really about our mission in life. It's being able to really fulfill our mission in life. And we tap into that through things like mantra, but also sacred music, sacred drumming, shamanic drumming. These things all have the potential to tap into our power, which is, encapsulated in the letters of the alphabet. Okay, then we have the second sphere, omniscience, all-knowing, or wisdom. Wisdom is really our ability to solve problems. So we're able to solve our own problems. We're even able to anticipate our own problems so that they don't even arise. And so we avoid them entirely. And then we're able to propose solutions to other people for their problems. Now, very few people get to this level because first of all, because it's very high up on the tree, but also because it requires our ability to, really have gotten very far in meditation, to be able to control our mind to the point that we can basically block out our thinking. So we either block out our thinking entirely, which can be done through contracting the navel, or when we have a thought, we're able to kind of notice it, but move on. Keep our attention moving with the present tense. Stay present, because what happens with a thought is you get the thought, and then you follow up the thought with other thoughts that are associated. And when you do that, you get stuck in time. You're no longer you're moving forward in time, you're stuck in the past. So in order to stay present, you have to be able to notice the thought, but then move on with your attention. And the long-term results of that is that you clear your mind, and your mind becomes transparent. When your mind becomes transparent, you can see through it, and you see through your mind to the center, and the center is your core, represented by the first sphere. So being able to see to the center is, because of a clear head, is wisdom. You're seeing the image of our higher self, and that enables you to answer the questions. Now, we can also use something that is called an oracle or a divination system in order to tap into wisdom as well, if we can't do this through our meditation practices. So the one is our deepest center, our higher self at our deepest center. And this is, not only do we see this image, but we actually are the image. We sink in and merge with our higher self. And that is a unifying factor. We unify ourselves with everything else, because everything else has the same one at the center. Okay, and then if the universe is everything, then the zero is nothing. And so the nothingness is the zero sphere, and also the mystery. And this happens as a result of it being part of the creator, but not part of the universe. So we only have direct access to the part of the creator that's in the universe, but it has another existence that is outside of the universe. Okay, now, so those are the 12 categories of the tree. Now, you can amplify that by taking the tree and putting it on each one of the spheres, and by doing that, you end up with 144 different categories. Those are the minor aspects of the tree, and I've compiled those into a guide that I'd be happy to share with you. We want to click the link in the description. And each day when I go through these, I'll go through that introduction, and then we'll cover one of those 144 different fractal faculties. Today, we're looking at number 76. How can we amplify our love to others? Okay, so this is located, number 76 is located in the 4th sphere. Okay, this is universal law, universal love, universal language. And then it's the 7th fractal inside of the 4th sphere. So this is about pleasure principle, this is about creativity, imagination, intuition, inspiration, and our higher mission. And so it's a kind of a combination of those two things. And number 76 is called Universal Love Offering. Stage number 76 is about expressing love unconditionally, universally, indiscriminately. Unconditional love offering, not just for giving, but giving for nothing. Cater to the haters. As the integral of all the specific manifestations of gravity, love can be a creative, novel action in transforming violence. We can turn the tables on hate, agape. Even if we disagree, support other people in where they are, support other people in what they are. We are all sovereign individuals who make our own decisions. We can debate them, try to change their minds, as long as we are open to having our own minds changed too. As long as we approach the debate as a search for truth, not just to be right. Regardless, no need to condemn people for their beliefs. That is not our job. Ethical proficiency comes only through experience, only through practice. Become peaceful explorers of the universe in a search to understand and overstand the physical laws until we get the hang of it. Universal love offering. Give seeking nothing in return. Rise above our egoism by sharing with others to fulfill a genuine need. Only give what is asked for, and be aware the favor may not be returned or even recognized. Their gratitude is not relevant to our own actions if we are coming from a place of unconditional love. Our martyrdom can't cut it ethically. We're not victims for exercising unrequited love. Intercept our payback, intercept our revenge, and we are no longer a victim of causality. We're turning cause into effect, liberating a good deal of energy in the process. Love especially our enemies, even while fighting against them. Conquer our enemies with love, and it'll be much harder for them to continue to hate us. Thank them for all the opportunities they've given us. Sincerely, not sarcastically. With all the adversity, maintain a sense of joy and optimism in the face of opposition. Love our enemies until we have no enemies. Unless, of course, they are cold-blooded sociopaths or one of the brainwashed minions of the powers that be. And so, unless we're a professional stuntman, do not try to do that at home. In a homeland with megalomaniacal dictators and cutthroat captains of industry and dunce capitalists and dumb democracies, in a land of suckers, in a land of governing structures built for suckers, we might just want to let it go for now and give it some time. Civilizing the au fait is not always warm and fuzzy, not all namby-pamby. It is a sober task to conquer our enemy with love. Save their asses even after they tried to harass us. Save their asses even after they tried to embarrass us. and stand up for our enemies when they are being wronged. Unconditional love is not for the weak of heart. Learn the ability to block out sentimentality. Then we can truly turn the tables on hate. Inverse verses. All right, that is number 76. Under Universal Love Offering, the seventh fractal of the fourth sphere. And that is one of the 144 different fractal faculties of the Tree of Life, stages of life, or stages of cosmology, history, and spirituality. I have that all 144 in a list that I'd be happy to share with you if you click the link in the description. I appreciate that you stuck around to the end of the video, and you can click the like button, and you can subscribe to the channel. You can share the video with others, make constructive comments in the comments section. You can donate directly to me through Cash App or Venmo listed in the description. And keep in mind that I'll be doing another one of the 144 fractal faculties tomorrow, along with another introduction. Most of the introductions are very similar, but there's a little bit of nuance in each one. There's some little new piece of material boiled into each one of those introductions. So the idea to learn the tree is really repetition. You have to be able to kind of memorize just a blurb or a little bit about each sphere, enough so that you don't have to, like, if you say what's 2 + 2, you just say 4. You don't think about it. So you have to be able to have that kind of recall about the tree. When somebody says fourth sphere, you have to be able to know before thinking about it what the fourth sphere is. And then you also have to be able to visualize where it fits in on the diagram and what it's connected to. So if you can do that, which requires a decent amount of repetition, but if you can do that and study, you will take off with the tree. So that's all I'll be saying about that. All right, I appreciate that. Tune in tomorrow. Have a great day, and we'll see you then.